Greetings. This is Anicka Plante reporting from the analysis. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Michael Stacy Smith, and he was on active duty at Bentwaters and Woodbridge Air Force bases in Suffolk, England, during the Rendlesham Forest UFO incidents in 1980. A sergeant in the 81st Airborne Security Police Squadron, he was one of the many military personnel that experienced some phenomenal events and happenings. Next December 2020 will be 40 years officially gone by and past since all of this occurred. Most anyone listening has never heard Michael's story, as he did not share it until this year. Michael, thank you for being here with us. It's an honor to have you. Share your story with the world. It has been long enough unspoken and untold. By all means, you have the floor. Go for it.
I was born in 1961 in Lyons, Georgia. A little small town, little bitty town. It was a doctor's office I was born in. They didn't even have a hospital. And I was born and raised in Vide and Lyons onions come from. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but you worldwide. But anyway, I joined the Air Force in 1979. I graduated high school early. I was one of the so-called smart kids, I guess. And my parents had to sign for me to go in. My parents had to sign for me to go into the service when I was out, because I was only 17 when I joined. And I graduated high school early. I took my test, and we were one of the few high schools you had to take an exit exam, and I took it and passed. And then I took the Air Force exam and passed it, which the Air Force in America, you have to score high to get in the Air Force. If you don't score high enough, you don't get in the Air Force. They don't draft you. I mean, I scored like 86 on the test, but to get in the Army, all you got to score is like a 40. So, so that's, yeah, that's because of education. If you ain't smart enough, I mean, I'm sorry, but hit the books. All I remember is in my younger days, I used to have to work in fields, and I've cropped tobacco and done all that. And I remember coming to the end of those rows, and it'd be 110 degrees, and saying, I can read a hell of a lot better. I can do this shit. And so that's why I got my education. And my dad, he was in the Air Force. He was he flew on B-36 bombers, and I got his wings still back there. And my brother, he's an engineer. He has 2 degrees in engineering. He lives in California, works for the government. He won't tell me what he does. Oh well. And my dad was an asshole. I'll put it this way. He was a certified asshole. He told me I was too stupid to go to college. So he wasn't going to pay for me to go to college. And so I joined the Air Force at 17 just to get away from it. And I wanted to go into college myself. Well, that's where I was. I went to the SPs, Security Police, and went to Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. And
I'm from Texas.
Went through basic training there, and then the SP Academy. Huh? That where you from?
Yeah, I'm from Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. Okay. I went through Dallas when I was in San Antonio, and anyway, I went through training there, and then went through SPA. You have to go through the UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You have to go through all those classes to be a cop, and it's a lot of training. They try to get you to quit every day. And then I went to Camp Bullis. After that, I went through advanced training, which is what's called air base ground defense, counter-terrorism training, put it that way. And we had to stay behind while other guys went on, but the guys were always, when we went to our bases, we were always picked to do all kind of shit. And it was like we were kind of a step above, you know what I mean? Not but we had a little bit more training than the other ones did. And anyway, I was stationed when I got my orders. When I first left Lackland, it said 81st Tactical Fighter Wing, UK. And I said, UK? I said, what damn state's UK? I was a 17-year-old kid. I said, where the hell's UK? Utah? I didn't know where it I was a dumbass kid, you know. And I didn't know where it was. I had to ask. Yeah. I said, okay, that's great. I was the only one that went there on my flight. But finally got to England. I flew out of Jacksonville, Florida. My mother was there, and I went to visit her before I left, went overseas. And then I found out my sister was pregnant and had to carry her to the doctor to get blood drawn. And she was so scared because she hates needles. And then when I come back, my little niece was here. She was 2 years old. So, and anyway, I flew to McGuire Air Force Base and flew out of there the next day and went to England. And I went to Mildenhall, where we landed, and caught a bus and had to go to Bentwaters. Got to Bentwaters and checked in there and stayed there, and then went through all my you had 6 months more training you had to go through. You just didn't get out of basic, or you had a lot more training you had to go through. It just before you got to your what they call an apprentice, I guess they call it now. But it took a while. You know, it took 6 or 8 months. Some guys it took a year to get through all that training to be fully certified. And
So, did you like England when you were there?
yeah, I liked it. I loved England. My ancestors. I did my ancestry stuff. A lot of them are from England, and some of them are right there from Suffolk County where I was stationed. Suffolk, England. One of them was a captain in the One of them found out great grandfather was a Charles Day. He was a captain in the 1700s. And yep, and from Suffolk, England. And there's a lot of days stationed around there, or live around there, from what I found out. And that's my family. So he married a girl from Virginia, and that was one of my great grandmothers. So here I am. I'm a mutt. Yeah. Southern girls are best. That's anyway. I was stationed there at Bentwaters, and I got stationed there, and I went through all my CDCs, my training, and finally got certified to Airman First Class, which is back then they called it 81150. When you first get there, you're 81130, and that means you're like just got out of training. Yeah, just got out of training. You're a rookie. You're a rookie cop. So then you have to go through a lot of training. It takes 6 months to a year, and So I finally got my 81150, and it takes several months for you to get your security clearance because some had secret clearances, some had top secret. For me, they picked a top secret. I don't know why. I had a top secret clearance, and what they do is they send people to your hometown and go to your high schools and go to your courthouses and ask all kind of people about you. And so that's what I had. I had top secret, and it took about 3 months to get it. But it takes a while to get a top secret clearance. So that's what I had. I had a top secret clearance. Few of us did. Some didn't, but some did because you had to have cops that could go in top secret areas where commanders were like I got admitted into the flight ops office when they were on alert. I could go in there where the commanders were, generals and colonels that were planning flight ops for planes that were going out to Europe. I was in there while they were doing that with the maps and everything. It was pretty good. You got all the coffee and donuts you wanted to eat. And then when they put the orders up, I had to be there armed to make sure the safe was locked that they put all the stuff in. So anyway, then in November of 1980, this is when I had my first incident. Our base went on alert. I was called out of the barracks. And what they do is they call the whole base on alert, and everybody has to go. All the SPs go. And went to the armory, and they assigned me to a post behind the east gate on Woodbridge. And it was an M60 post, and I was qualified 60 machine gun. So it was like the end of November, somewhere around there, before Christmas. And the bunkers were kind of triangular shaped. So they dropped me off, and I got in the bunker, and it was cold as shit that night. I remember it was the end of November. And I was sitting there in the bunker, and actually I took my poncho and put it over the top of the bunker, try to shield the dew from falling. And I was sitting there, and I had to pee. I had to pee bad. I said, shit, I get up and go pee. So I stood up on the edge of the bunker and was facing down the right side of the fence line. Our planes were on the right side. The fence line was on the left side. If you look down, it's like a 200 yards, 200 or 300 yards down a fence line. And I was standing there on top of the bunker and peeing, And I looked off in the forest, and you could see an orange glowing light down in the woods, off from me. And so what the hell is that? First I thought, I said, well, that's somebody with a lantern walking through the woods, looking at our planes. And it was moving. You could tell it was moving through the trees because you could see the trees like coming towards me. And I got through peeing. I got down in the bunker. The woods back then, the forest, were clear. You could see pretty good ways in them. Because we played war games in those forests. I was on alert patrol one time in that forest. And alert's a long-range reconnaissance patrol. And anyway, the object, as it was coming down the tree line, I could see it clearer and clearer. And I said, well, I see it moving, but I don't see nobody with it. And it kind of spooked me. I said, what the hell? And when it got straight in front of me, I could see it very clear. And it was an orange, reddish, glowing ball, bigger than a beach ball, but it had like a cat's eye in the middle of it. And I didn't know what the hell, and it stopped. Right when he got in front of me, it stopped. And it just stayed there, and it stayed there. And I had an M60 with 500 rounds of live ammo. We carried live bullets. We didn't carry fake shit. We would shoot your ass over them airplanes. And anyway, I called for a security response team, which is called an SRT team. And a black staff sergeant and a white airman first class come to me. And that thing was still sitting there. It stayed there for several, and it just sit there and hovered. It was like 2 or 3 foot off the ground. You could see the trees all lit up around it. And the black staff sergeant was on my left side. He come up beside the bunker, and the airman first class come up on the right side. And the sergeant said, "What the hell is that?" I said, "I don't know. You're the one with the goddamn strap. You tell me." Pardon my French, but that's what I said. And the airman said, "I'm going to go over here to the right about 100 yards. I'm going to jump the fence. I'm going to flank it and come in from the right side." I said, "Okay, I got you covered." Cocked and locked an M60 machine gun, which we were not supposed to do unless under imminent circumstances. So I did. I was scared. I didn't know what it was. And the sergeant asked me, he said, "Did you cock and lock that weapon?" I said, "You damn right. You can write me up when you want to. When I get out of here, you can write my ass up." I said, "I don't care." And went out and went into the forest. You could hear the airmen walking, but the object was still there. It wasn't moving. And all I had to do and pull the trigger. And there'd be several hundred rounds of M60 ammunition going down range. And as the airmen come into it, if you would have blinked, you would have not seen it leave. It left so fast to the left. It went to the left, through the trees. It was gone. And after that, they left. Now, I mean, I was scared. I was a 19-year-old kid. Hell, I was scared to death. And I expect a 19-year-old kid to do. And they left me there in the bunker. I mean, it's so dark, you can't even see your hand in front of your face hardly. I went and climbed up in the back of an aircraft hangar that was behind me. I stayed there all night. I don't remember from then to when I got to the barracks. I cannot remember. It's like my memory was, and I mean, something that traumatic, a kid, you should remember it. It should just be burned in your damn brain. But to me, it's like I was in a daze. And then only thing I remember is being back at the barracks and in the shower, taking a shower. That's when I woke up. Butt naked in a shower. And I went to bed. And a lot of guys weren't on flight. And a lot of guys were on leave. But then the Christmas incident come up. And that's when Colonel Hawk come out. But there were a lot of other incidents. I talked to a lot of other guys that happened way before the Christmas stuff. Steve Wagner, Doc Rhodes, friends, they seen stuff, but they didn't talk about it either. I didn't talk about this either. My mouth shut for years. And then when Colonel Hawk come out, I was assigned to Woodbridge that night with Bastings. And Forest, and I remember Colonel Hawk come up there, and he was pissed because a lot of guys were out there with the weapons, and he didn't want international incident, as he said, where if we have shot off base, it would have been bad, you know. And so I kept a lot of guys' guns, weapons in my truck, and I stayed behind. Bastinza went out there, you know. I remember Bastinza saying, Smitty, are you going, that's what they called me, Smitty. He said, Smitty, are you going to go with us? I said, no, I've had my turn with them. Y'all go have fun. And the whole crowd, you could have heard a pin drop. They all turned and looked at me like, what? And they went out there, and I was sitting in the truck, and they posted a new guy on the gate, the east gate, rather. And I don't know who he was. Didn't care. He was a brand new troop. Most new troops we didn't associate with much until you got, you had to prove yourself to us. And I was sitting there in the truck. To be honest with you, I was going to take a nap. Hell, it was at night, and nobody was around, and have nowhere to go. Nobody was going to make me go anywhere. So I said, okay, got all these weapons. I had enough weapons to start a war. And the new guy in the gate started yelling and said, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? And I got out of the truck, and I looked at him and said, what are you talking about? He said, man, look. I said, what? And you could see coming from the Bentwaters south area, come across the east end of the runway was a triangular shaped craft. It was bluish in the middle, is all I can say, and had white around the edges of it, but it was triangular shaped, made no noise, and it was just above the tree line, and it went into Rendlesham Forest. And if you listen to Colonel Halt's tape, you can hear him saying that there's a craft coming in. That's the one that shined the beam down on them. And that was my second incident. So I don't care what anyone says. The shit happened. It was real. And I was stationed at Woodbridge one time shortly after that on the let's see, we were on mids then we went on a 3-day break. Then we come back on, no, we were on nights then, I'm sorry. Not mids, nights. Then we, on a 3-day break, mids. When I was on mids, I got stationed at Woodbridge. We had a relay station there, right next to the control tower. What it was our handheld walkie-talkies couldn't talk all the way to Woodbridge or Bentwaters. So it was the relay station. What it was, it went through the relay station, then it kicked over to Bentwaters. And everything that went in through there, I had to type a desk plotter on. So I was in there. I had an affliction. I could type. So that's why they stuck me there. And one afternoon, 2 planes landed on Woodbridge. And any time a plane lands on any of our air bases, once it hits the ground, we're responsible for it. I mean, nobody can tell us what to do with those planes. Those are our planes. We don't tell you, you can't go near one of them bitches unless we say you can. But they landed, and they 57th Air Rescue Squadron area, which was Air Sea Rescue. They were the PJs. And they didn't have any tail numbers. No tail numbers were on the planes whatsoever. They were solid white. And we were told we couldn't guard them or nothing, approach them or anything. And those are the ones I think that went and questioned everybody. And that's when the shit went crazy. Nobody ever questioned me or anything, but all I know is that shit happened. It was for real. I don't care who says it wasn't. I don't give a flying frig, but it happened, baby girl. I'm sorry. And then now I got all this sickness. And I was diagnosed in 1998. I had thyroid cancer. And I was a police officer in Savannah then. I've been a police officer all my life. And the doctors, they found I had 7 tumors in my thyroid gland, which is in your throat. And before that happened, I thought I was going crazy. Honest to God. My mind was going crazy. I was doing stupid shit. And I mean, I didn't know what was going on. And I was shaving one morning and I found a lump on my throat. And I said, what in the hell? And that was a Monday morning. So I called my doctor, went in there, and he told me to come in. He said it looked like I had a goiter on my thyroid. And I said, I don't even know what the hell a thyroid is. I didn't. And so they sent me to a specialist, and they did a biopsy. And then he sent me to another specialist, and they did a sonogram. And they said I had 7 tumors in my thyroid glands. And I said, 7? They said, yeah. They said, that's highly unusual. That we only usually see that has been exposed to a high dose for an extended period of time. And it usually takes 15 to 20 years for it to show up. Well, that was 18 years later. And anyway, they cut it out and it was cancer. So I had to go through chemo and all that. And after that, I was in pretty good shape. I used to run like 1 or 2 miles a day. I worked out on a punching bag. Thought I was in great shape. And my left arm started killing me. It was hurting bad. And that was a sign. It was my heart. And come to find out, my heart was enlarged. My lower valve that pumps blood out, I have an aneurysm that comes from there to the main aorta. And the valve leaks still to this day. And they can't control my blood pressure. I have what's called malignant hypertension, which nobody knows why. I didn't drink, didn't smoke, none of that. And so I kept on, and then I started getting humongous migraines. I mean, bad. So bad they give me Demerol to take home with me. And then I got sick again a few years ago. Mm-hmm.
So, do you think your migraines and health issues are linked in any way with your experiences at Rendlesham?
Yeah, I do, honestly. I have things in my brain that I've explained to people, and they're like, where the hell do you get that from? I said, I don't know. A year or two ago, I got sick again, and they thought I was dying. And they thought I had leukemia. I lost down to like 150 pounds, got real skinny, and couldn't eat, throwing up, and everything I'd eat come right back up. So they sent me to a doctor in Savannah, a specialist. They took 30 vials at one time. 30. Yeah, they tested me for AIDS, HIV, hepatitis, every cancer you can think of. The only thing they found, I have a genetic disorder. In my genes, they said my blood or my body is creating too much iron, and it's poisoning my body. That's what they say, but nobody in my family's ever heard of it. So where the hell did it come from? And anyway, in my brain, my incident, I've only told two people, but vision of something called antimatter, which I've never heard of, anti-gravity, which I've never heard of, propulsion systems. I have a mathematical formula and will not fucking share with nobody no more. I shared it one time. It ain't coming out again. It's about antimatter, anti-gravity, and how to propulse yourself through space and time. And where it come from, I don't freaking know. I'm no mathematician. I'm no smart guy. I don't know this shit. But it's there. I don't know what. And it tells me that once you learn to produce the antimatter, which is the energy, from what I understand, you could take a teaspoon of antimatter and create for one city like the size of New York for years. And the anti-gravity, from what I understand, is everything in the universe is like a fabric, and it's all controlled by gravity. That's what holds everything together. If it didn't, all the galaxies would fly apart. And once you learn to control those things, you can go from one place to another in a nanosecond. So that's what's in my head. I don't know if it's true. I don't know what it is. It might be crazy thinking. I don't know. But I'm just saying.
Did this happen later in your life or during your time in active duty in England?
No, it was the first incident. After I went and climbed into the back of the hangar and stayed there, and I don't remember what happened after that, but it was after that, but I never told anybody.
So, why would they have picked you to give this information to? I mean, why not someone with more interest in these type of things? You don't have interest in those types of issues. You actually really regret that you went through this in the first place. You've said it. It really ruined many parts of your life. It's been a weight upon your soul. Yeah, you've said this yourself. So, why you? Why do you think they picked you to give this information to?
I don't know. I'd like to know. I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know. I mean, I was a 19-year-old kid. We've never heard of such shit as that back in the 80s. Antimatter. What the hell's anti-gravity? What the hell's anti-gravity? I ain't never heard of antimatter. I'm like, antimatter? I said, like, what the fuck's antimatter? I talked to one guy, and I talked to my brother. He's a engineer. And I showed him the math. Yeah, I showed him the math formula, and he said, his exact word, where the fuck did you get this from? I said, I don't know. He said, do you know what this is? I said, nope. And the first thing he told me was, keep your mouth shut. I said, okay. That's all he said. And yeah. So I did. But I ain't keeping my damn mouth shut no more. I don't give a shit what they do. I mean, I could die tomorrow. I don't give a shit. The shit's got to come out. It's true. It happened. I'm sorry if don't nobody believe me, but I swear to God, I swear to God it happened. No, no. I've been a police officer all my life. So I've seen people die everywhere they can die. I've seen babies dead. I've cried over babies dying. I've seen people with their heads cut off. I've seen people with their heads blowed off. I've seen people in car wrecks like you wouldn't believe. I've seen trauma like you wouldn't believe it. I've said many times, I wish to God I'd never seen none of it. I wish to God I had. I still pray to God. It still haunts me. And I said, I swear to God every day. I said, I wish I'd have never seen any of it. I don't want to do this, but I think I just need to come out, you know. I mean, it happened. It happened, and it needs to come out. And what they were, I do not know, but I know they were not from here. And a lot of people, I remember we were debriefed. A lot of people ain't talking about that either that night. And we were called down to the 67th Area Rescue Squad, and there was no planes part there that night. And they called the guys out of the tower, and they called everybody down there. The colonel did, Colonel Hawk. And I was just standing there listening to the guys from the tower. They were talking, and I don't know who they were, but one of the guys were saying like, what was that? Everybody was like, shh, you ain't supposed to say that. Da, 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 da. I was just sitting there with my mouth shut. He said, man, those things went from 1,000 to 90,000 off our scopes in like 4 seconds. And I heard that. And everybody saw them leave. Well, not everybody. If you'd have blinked your eyes and wasn't looking up, you wouldn't have seen them leave. But he did. I've never even heard of what the hell is anti-gravity? This was back in the 1980s. I had this. If you can from what they put in my head, if you can control gravity anywhere in the universe, that's what I have an understanding of. Gravity is like a fabric, like Einstein said. I don't know how to explain it. I can explain it, but it's going to take a while. But gravity is like a fabric. It holds everything together. Even if they didn't have gravity, there's even physicists, there's no reason why universes should stay together. They should be spinning off out in space because it's all a vacuum, you know. But yet there is something there. And from what, I don't know how to, I'm crazy, I know, I'm sorry. From what I've been, me is if once you learn how to control it, you can go anywhere. Does that sound crazy? I'm sorry, but just that's what's in my head. I've never heard of that shit before until the 1980s, and I've carried it with me for years, and I've only told a few people, and everybody looks at me like, you out of your fucking mind. What I have in my mind, but they say once you learn to control it, then you control everything. And once you can learn to control it, it powers the anti-gravity substance of it. And it's just, my mind ain't that big. But in there, those objects we saw, they made no noise. They had no propulsion systems. As they wanted to. Yeah, that's what's in my head. That's that's what that's what's in my head. Yeah. People ask me how I have all my gifts. How I have all my gifts. I build guitars, and they say, "How do you do that?" I said, well, it takes a lot to build a guitar. You have to get shit right. If you don't get it right, it won't. Yeah. And just something I like to do, and it's in my head. So I'm not good at math. I know numbers, but that's about it. But yeah, I can pretty much build or work on anything if you give me a chance.